Hello, I'm Erin Palmer, Team Rayceen Productions co-host and moderator.
And I'm Carol Mitchell, Team Rayceen Productions co-host and moderator.
Joining us is Toni Criner. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Before we talk about your 2024 campaign to represent Ward 7 on the DC State Board of Education, please tell the viewers a little about your background and who you are.
Yes, thank you again for having me. Again, my name is Toni Criner, and I am running for the Ward 7 DC State Board of Education representative seat. I am a longtime educator. I come from a line of educators. My mother's a retired principal, grandmother's a retired teacher, and my grandfather was a college professor. And so education has always been a part of my life journey. But I'm particularly running for the Ward 7 DC State Board of Education representative seat because, like I said earlier, it's always been a dream of mine to run for office and just to be able to make a great impact within the education system within my community. And so I think it's time. I have dedicated unwaveringly amount of time and commitment to students in the district, not only in Ward 7, but across the district as DC Public Schools school leader. I had the opportunity to oversee and develop the ninth grade academy over at Ballou State. I have experience in developing the student to student conflict resolution pilot program right here in Ward 7 at Woodson High School, and very recently served as the interim ombudsman for public education and oversaw the district special education hub. And so I have all of the experience, both inside of the classroom, inside of the building as a school leader, and the experience in the community that I think will be a great contribution to the DC State Board of Education.
Thank you so much. It's always nice to hear about candidate backgrounds. And I'm wondering if you can tell our viewers a little bit more about the position of Ward 7 representative to the State Board of Education, what it is, what it entails, as
Yeah.
well as a little bit more about why you want to be elected to that position.
Sure. So a lot of people think that the DC State Board of Education are policymakers. We would be able to help influence policy, but the DC State Board of Education would ultimately serves as a liaison between OSSE, which is the Office of the State Superintendent of Education, where we would discuss certain standards. We would discuss certain high school requirements that are needed for students to just kind of meet post before high school graduation. There are certain standards and student access laws that we would also have to just kind of review and work with OSSE, the DME, which is the Deputy Mayor of Education, and our DC Public Schools Chancellor, just to make sure that, whatever we're hearing from our community, whether it's from the parents or it's from the school administrators or staff, that we're reporting this information back and we're working together as a collaborative group to make sure that we're putting policies, initiatives in place to best meet the needs and interests of our families. I am again interested in running for this position. As I mentioned earlier, I am dedicated to education, dedicated to very particular population of students, students who are in the care of DC, which are our jail school students, students who are in foster care. I am a former foster student, and with that came with a host of different schools that I had to attend. I had to attend 15 different schools because I had to go to 15 different foster homes. And so I truly understand the depth in which our students need those supports and services in order to get them through high school and to get them into a successful and excellent life post-secondary as well. And so, again, I'm excited to run for the position, and I pray and hope that I can bring all of my experience, both personal and professional experience, to this particular position.
Thank you so much for that information. And You touched on this just a little bit, but can you elaborate on your top three issues?
Yes, of course. So as I mentioned earlier, one of my top issues that I would love to tackle if elected to the position is the students in the care of DC. As I mentioned, this population of students is growing. We've seen through the OSSE data that there was a 52% uptick in students that in the at risk, what we call the at risk area, and those are students who are homeless. Students who are in foster care, students who are over age and undercredited. Those are our students who have not done so well their first year within their ninth grade cohort. And so I'm very, adamant about making sure that these students not only get the transition support. So, for instance, if they're moving from the jail schools back into their comprehensive schools, I want to make sure that they are connected to their home school so that they can get acclimated within their school community and know the supports that they have in place in order for them to be successful upon that transition. We also know that there are students in the foster care system who are wards of the state or the district because we are working on our 51st state status. But those students are wards of the state and they're able to, go to any school in the district. And so we want to make sure that if these foster care students are being housed in Ward 7 and they're going out into other wards to, get their education, we want to make sure that they're receiving those supports no matter where they are in the district. Another priority of mine is obviously special education. As I mentioned earlier, I did oversee the DC Special Education Hub and was able to work with the mayor's office and with council to advocate for over $500,000 for the continuation of the DC Special Education Hub. And within that work, as the ombudsman, I was able to just get a really good pulse on what it is that our students and families of students with disabilities are looking for. And one of the main concerns that came up was transportation. And so, in that role, I was able to receive phone calls, not just from Ward 7 families, but across the district, and just listen and learn to parents' needs and concerns around this particular issue. It not only led to truancy for our students with disability because there was a lack of transportation support, but there were times where, as a mediator working with the Office of Attorney General, there were families who had students with disabilities and utilized the transportation system that were referred to the Office of Attorney General's truancy program. And so I think that is a very a big issue and concern that needs to be addressed more directly. And I did make a policy recommendation as the ombudsman for public education to OSSE for them to develop a more sophisticated transportation tracker so it doesn't just allow for parents to know that a bus is coming, but they will know when it is coming if it's going to be canceled. I noticed that there was a missing piece or barrier where the schools did not communicate with the bus depot, and so they would just mark the students absent. And so that is a huge concern, and I think that resources around special education should be more accessible and just more up to par for students who are already at a disadvantage, if you will. My third priority would definitely be, as we all know, youth crime and youth safety in the district is at an all-time high. We've received numbers that it's down, but on an everyday basis, we do see where there was a student or a community member attacked, and so violence in the community is just unacceptable. And so I think it's very important as the State Board of Education representative to have a pulse on what's happening within the schools. And so again, in a lot of the work that I've done in the schools and with the State Board of Education, I was able to speak directly to families to understand, why aren't you sending your student to school? And a lot of it came, a lot of their reasoning was due to safety. And so I definitely want to make sure that, if I'm elected, I would make sure I work with MPD, our safe passage workers, violence interrupters, and the school administrators, and even mediation programs to make sure that we are meeting the needs of the students and the families to ensure that they feel welcomed back into the school community, that they feel safe traveling to and from the school community, and also making sure that our community members, our residents, I've heard from residents across the ward that says, oh, I don't have a K through 12 student, and I'm like, that's okay. There's a part for everyone to play in a safe safe community. And so I would tell, some of our residents, if you are working from home and you just so happen to see a student during the, school hours roaming the streets, there should be a phone number that, residents should be able to call, or there should be some type of reporting app that, residents are able to just kind of track this information so that the schools and the community know how to best address or support these particular students and get them back into the school in hopes of not committing, crimes during their idle time.
Thanks so much, Toni. That was very comprehensive, and it's very helpful for viewers to be able to understand candidate platforms. I'm wondering if you can talk about why you think you are the best choice for voters.
Yeah. I truly believe I am the best choice for voters. And I don't want to say simply but because I do have a deep understanding of the education system, not only the system, but the landscape of DC. I have worked in both, again, comprehensive school space. I have worked in the opportunity academies as a school leader. I have worked not only in the DC public school space, but also the DC public charter school space. I've worked with students who, again, are, at risk, those students who are, are the others who are just simply going to school, have great behavior, great, academic reports. But I have touched every population of students, from the LGBTQ community, from the foster care community, the mental health community. And again, I truly believe that I have the understanding to work with these families and to get them what it is that they're looking for in their representative. And so, again, I have the temperament to do it, and the connections. These are my colleagues that I will be partnering with. People who used to be my former supervisors, or, like I said, colleagues. And so the relationships are there, the understanding of the education, the DC education landscape is there. And so I'm ready to, hopefully get elected into the seat. And so that I can continue the work and the advocacy for students, families, and teachers in Ward 7.
Thanks so much. That's really very helpful. A lot of information that voters can use to help in making their decision. Can you tell the viewers when voting begins?
Yes, early voting begins October 28th and it ends November 3rd. Election day is November 5th. And I look forward to gaining everyone's support and vote, hopefully during the early voting cycle.
As we wrap up, please tell our viewers how they can learn more about you and how to support your campaign.
Yes, please, please, please check out my campaign, trail, the issues that I'm most passionate about at www.toniforward7sboe.com. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Toniforward7.
Great, thank you so much. So viewers, please look in the description below for links. Thanks for spending time with us, Toni. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
To those watching, please follow Team Rayceen on social media and subscribe to the Team Rayceen YouTube channel.
And viewers, thank you for watching.